this afternoon, there are concerns by some members of the NDC raising concerns about President Akufo-Addo's new appointments to the Electoral Commission. Three individuals, I beg your pardon, have been appointed to fill the vacancies at the Electoral Commission. The composition is obviously made up of 3 persons, with 4 others. 3 new people are coming in to replace 3 vacancies at the election management body. We'll be getting a profile of some of these individuals soon. But yesterday, President Akufo-Addo, while swearing in these individuals, charged them not to be cowed into submission. Listen.
It is no secret that I have spent most of my adult life fighting for the establishment of democracy and human rights in this country. And I've always fought for and advocated for a credible electoral process in Ghana. In emphasizing the importance and credibility of elections, it must be pointed out that the count, the collation, the declaration of results cannot and should not be more important than the sacred God-given right of a citizen casting his or her ballot. I have said it before and I will repeat it. Elections are about those who cast the vote, not those who count, not those who supervise, not those who transmit, and not those who declare. The heart of the democratic process is giving effect to the choices made by those who cast the vote. The 3 persons I have sworn in a few moments ago as members of the Electoral Commission are persons I am confident will bring integrity, professionalism, and independence and fairness of mind to the discharge of their duties. Article 46 of the Constitution demands that in the performance of its functions, the Electoral Commission will not be, quote, subject to the direction or control of any person or authority. It answers only to the Ghanaian people, the Constitution of the Republic, and its own conscience. As you begin work, you will find no honeymoon period. Neither will you be afforded the chance to settle into your new responsibilities. I have nevertheless confidence in you and in your abilities to surmount the hurdles before you. Each of you has excelled in your areas of focus, and you possess the requisite experience to deliver and meet the considerable expectations of the Ghanaian people. Remember that now, more than ever, every single decision you take will be scrutinized to the letter. That, however, should not scare you, and indeed, let no one try to cow you into submission. On the contrary, let this expectation of the Ghanaian people spur you onto great heights, and above all, work so that the will of the Ghanaian people is upheld. Realizing the dreams of the founders of our nation to build a free, united, prosperous, and happy Ghana on the basis of the principles of democratic accountability, respect for human rights, the rule of law, and the dictates of social justice must be our guiding principles of development. Congratulations once again.
Well, President Akufo-Addo there, but it's emerging today that some members of the NDC are beginning to raise concerns about these names. I want to bring in Samuel Mbura, who was at the NDC headquarters today, engaging some of the leading figures on the concerns they have. Sami, so let's get the exact concerns, especially from those within the John Mahama campaign. What are their concerns?
Right, so Professor Joshua Labi, he actually came to the party's headquarters to submit the forms or file the forms on behalf of John Mahama, and their major concern had to do with what he said was the fact that the party actually won the 2020 elections, but they felt they were cheated, and going forward, what they would do is that they will build a robust, a secure coalition system for the NDC, and also raised concerns about the referee here, which is the Electoral Commission, and he's making the point that the upcoming election is going to be a crucial one, and they would not allow any form of compromise at all. So they have given a signal to the Electoral Commission to ensure that there's a fair playing ground for all, political parties that will be participating in the elections, especially the NDC. He believes that if there's no fair grounds for them, then it will create a chaotic situation for any party that is involved in the election. So he said they've already won the elections in advance, and waiting to see how the elections will go. But the main point is that the EC should be fair in its dealings with the political parties.
Did they mention any of the names specifically?
No, he made this comment in a general context. He did not actually mention that. I tried finding out from the top executives of the party with regards to this issue at hand now, where the president has sworn in the 3 members of the Electoral Commission. The information I had was that officially the party would meet over it, deliberate, and then later come out with an official communication on the situation.
Well, I'm grateful, Sami Mbura, joining us after he visited the NDC headquarters. But there's a lot of reaction meeting this. Let's bring in Kweku Asante, who's joining us from Parliament now. Kweku, what's been the reaction from the MPs giving these new names we're hearing? There's also a concern about Dr. Peter Piahini, who we understand has some affiliations to the governing party. What are we hearing from the MPs?
Indeed, it's been that of shock. Some of the MPs that I approached to speak to, when I showed them some of the pictures that have been going around on social media, we are very much surprised that such a person, indeed, particularly the lecturer at the University of Energy and Natural Resources, will now be appointed to serve on the Electoral Commission. Their concern is that the Electoral Commission is being bastardized. In the words of Kofi Adams, the former national organizer of the NDC, President Akufo-Addo is packing the Electoral Commission with known members of the New Patriotic Party to further they are breaking the agenda, breaking the 8th agenda for 2024. And they say that will not work. But ultimately, they want civil society, well-meaning Ghanaians, to speak about these appointments. They are not excited that persons who are publicly known to be identified with the New Patriotic Party are now being appointed. Of course, they know that these individuals may all have their own individual proclivities in terms of whatever political party they may want to support or even vote for. But when such appointments or when such persons are known to be public faces who support the political party, who is a key player in Ghana's electoral politics, to now be appointed to the Electoral Commission is something that they will not countenance. But this is not something that will come before Parliament. The President has the prerogative to make such an appointment. And these appointments have now gone through. The President has sworn them in. The NDC say that they will now be monitoring, paying keen attention to this. And then subsequently, they have much more matters that they have to put out in the public domain. Then they will do so.
Kweku Asante, grateful. So let's get a sense of the profile of these individuals involved. Richard Kujinyako is joining us via Zoom on this. Richard, let's start with the man at the center of this, the lecturer from UDS, Dr. Peter Piahini. I guess that's the name, correct? We're having difficulties hearing you. If you could just unmute for us so we can get the point you're making. Yes, Richard.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear now.
Okay, so Dr. Peter Piahini is an assistant professor with over 10 years working experience in the computer science industry and academic institutions, both domestic and international. And he has a PhD in computer science with specialization in reinforcement learning and machine learning. And Dr. Piahini is also currently a faculty member of the Department of Computer Science and Informatics at the University of Energy and Natural Resources. But interestingly, what I gleaned from the profile is that he is also the patron of the New Patriotic Party Student Range TESCON at the University of Energy and Natural Resources there. So that is for Dr. Piahini. We go to Reverend Ekia Ofori-Boateng, and Reverend Ekia Ofori-Boateng is a director of programs at the Anglican Diocese of Accra. She is a member of the United States Trade Advisory Committee on Africa and served on the 2022 Eminent Advisory Committee of the Electoral Commission of Ghana. And Reverend Ekia Ofori-Boateng is also the co-founder of Aquitas, a faith-based foundation which has a vision to see a world where underprivileged youth have an opportunity to pursue their passion. And as a priest, she has served at the Holy Trinity Cathedral. And so that is for Reverend Ekia Boateng. And for Madam Salim, she is a conservationist and she is also a data analyst. And so that is what we have by way of profile from the three people that have been appointed by President Akufo-Addo.
Interesting. Richard, thanks. Let's speak now to Dr. Asad Santi, political scientist at the University of Ghana. Doc, the issue about political neutrality, it's not stated in the law, but given the fact that the opposition party is beginning to raise concerns about this, should we be worried?
Good afternoon, Blessed, and your viewers. If you look at the gentleman in question, nothing is showing that he is a member of TESCO, except that he's a patron. So holding an office of that nature, does it affect the work that he does? If there is anything untoward, I think the law must be explicit on that. And once he's gone through the process, I believe that nothing prevents him legally to hold that office. But sometimes what we have to do as people who want to occupy public offices, that if you think that a position given to you and the one you held before is likely to impinge on your work, then it requires that sometimes you advise yourself, particularly when you are dealing with an office such as election management board, where a little problem about neutrality undermines the fortunes of the body that you are serving. A little, thing that raises an eyebrow in the public with regard to your professional conduct, then you need to advise yourself. So sometimes some of these things tune, but you yourself must take a certain decision so as to make sure that you don't affect your organization in a certain negative manner. That is what I can say.
21 months to the general elections. Is that a time frame that giving the opportunity to any executive president to make appointments to the EC may want to tamper with? Is that the likelihood?
If the law doesn't prevent the government or the president for appointing people or replacing some people whose tenure has expired, or they are on retirement, then there's nothing wrong. But sometimes if it's so close to election and there is opportunity for you to, as it were, stay out of that appointment, then it becomes advisable that the appointing authority can stay away if that is the opportunity given to the president by the law. But if the law is silent on this, then you cannot fault the appointing authority, for that matter, the president.
Because some leading figures, including Joshua Alabi himself, who one time tried to be president, leading figure of the NDC, they are raising concerns already about the posture of the EC going into the next elections. Let's listen into that, and then I'll take your thoughts briefly.
Blessed. And I know, together with us, we shall go around the length and breadth of this country to talk to our people. Even with 51%, we have won. 60%, we have won. 70%, we have won. 80%, 90%, we have won. But we want 99.999%. To send a strong finger to our both opponents that our party is firmly united behind His Excellency John Dramani
Well, apologies for that. Of course, we'll get the right sounds for you. But Doc, I was just about to point out some of the issues being raised by Joshua Alabi. The fact that the NDC feels the field is not as level for all parties going into the 2024 general elections.
That I missed the last bit. That yeah, what?
Yes, I was just about to go into the details. The points being raised by Joshua Alabi, the fact that the EC's posture is not helpful going into the next elections in 2024.
Obviously, if you are managing an electoral management body such as the EC, one needs to be fair, one needs to be, balanced, and then your posture should be that that is welcoming by all the actors on that political plane. Because take it or leave it, election is such a crucial matter that the slightest action that is taken, which you don't take care, can really undermine the fortunes of the election management body. So it is always advisable that you listen, and then those who are working at the helm of affairs, you work on that tightrope so as to protect the sanctity of the election and then the electoral processes. Because it's key to people accepting defeat and abiding by the rules of the game at the end of the polls. All right. So leadership has a big responsibility to be able to comport themselves in a certain way, in a manner that would really, win the confidence of people and lead to people believing in the outcome of the results, and then they take it as that is the decision of the people, and for which reason then they are ready to accept and then move on and then build a solid Ghana. That is a requirement that is needed when you are election management, body, and that is your task that you need to always perform and perform it right.
How do we get these new appointees to get along? Well, in the law, there's no need for them to have friendly relations with the political parties. But how do we make them get along with all the opposition parties and the governing one as well?
Obviously, you have rules of the game, so you follow the rules. All right, that is the first thing. The rules regarding your office must be adhered to rigidly. That you be neutral, you be fair, so you need to be professional as highly as possible. And then the actors, the key stakeholders within that industry, you need to make sure that you deal with them professionally so that any suspicion is erased. Normally, when you go on the tangent of doing things outside your remit or doing things that generate suspicion, that is where you have problems with stakeholders. But when you go according to the dictates of the Constitution, the laws establishing your office, and then the right professional touch, obviously you carry the day. And that is the way forward to electoral commission as they prepare us towards 2024 election, battle.
And as I was indicating earlier, just 21 months to the next elections, there are a number of reforms taking place. The Electoral Commission being hard on the use of the Ghana card, for instance, as that sole document for identification going into the election. It's not crossed the parliamentary level yet, but it's beginning to generate some debates. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, if you look at so far what the EC, what the NIA are saying, that yes, they are going to work with they are going to make use of the national card as a sole document to be able to use for the electoral processes. I have no problem with that, provided that the time that we are ready for election, every Tom, Dick, and Harry who by law is qualified and in this country to vote will not be disenfranchised. That's my worry, because as a student of democracy, I want to see a situation where the principle of universal adult suffrage is adhered to rigidly. That means that anybody who by law qualifies to vote will not be disenfranchised. If Electoral Commission can, guarantee that, I am with it. if the National Identification Authority will able to also deliver on their promise, I am for it. But I don't want a situation where, all in spite of all these promises, we get to the tail end and events have taken a different turn. That will create a problem for us. And for me, as a student of democracy, I don't want to see that. But as of now, they have not given me any cause to doubt that this could not be done. If you listen to Professor Tifa, he has demonstrated to us that, yes, if the government is able to pay the cost, the debt that they owe, and then we are able to get resources. He promised that he can do that within 11 days or so. He gives them a certain time limit. I trust and I believe that he should be able to carry us through this process. Once we get this, we should be fine, because all the time, the issue of voter registration creates a lot of acrimony, bickering and rancor, and doesn't bode well for a fragile democracy such as ours that we are trying to deepen and strengthen. And so if we get some of our acts together, for instance, the document that we use for voting, which is what? The voters' identification card. We get something that is permanent, that from time to time, as soon as children are born, their names are incorporated into it. Then that is the way forward. We have seen that in advanced democracies such as Denmark, United States, and the rest of them. We always want to pick from very good, examples and emulate very well. So if there is this opportunity, why not? But we need to be careful, so as to make sure that we carry everybody along and then make the system foolproof. That is the spirit behind democracy.
And the NDC refusing to be part of IPAC. They claim to be the largest opposition party. What does this mean for our democracy?
It is a difficult issue because their involvement is critical when you look at the fact that this country operates a two-party system. That only two parties, there are so many parties within the country, but only two have the political wherewithal to win power and form the government. So that equation, you obviously need NDC in, MPP in. All right, once you don't have them, then there is a misnomer somewhere that we need to fix. And earlier we fix that thing, the better. I believe that the way forward is that the Electoral Commission should be able to extend a hand of friendship to NDC, and so as to bring them on board, because their inclusion is critical in managing the electoral fortunes of this country. There is nothing that is difficult for society to deal with. If they are ready to address this problem, I think there are so many ways in doing that. The EC must be able to walk that talk and get NDC on board, so as to build a certain consensus that will protect the integrity of the Electoral Commission. We know that this is an advisory body, but my feeling is that if it is not important that the parties such as the NDC should not be part, then that body will not be created in the first place at all. But once you have them in, and then there is a problem, we should be able to find a way of fixing it and bringing NDC on board. I think that is an important missing link that we need to address very soon.
Okay then, we'll have to leave it here. Thank you, Dr. Assanti. We'll see you again.